Welcome back to AFT Dice Season 8. It is round 17. It is the last round of the home and away season before the finals. Let's get stuck into it. It is Port Adelaide versus Geelong. Cats at Adelaide Oval for the match of the round. But let's get stuck into it. GWS Giants versus West Coast. First versus 18th. Let's hit the first quarter. We're underway. First quarter's completed and the Giants have kicked 5 goals, 32 to West Coast, 4-6, 30. All right, let's get into the second quarter. Second quarter nearly completed. Second quarter completed. And GWS kicked 4 goals, 4 to West Coast, 6 goals, 1. And West Coast are in front by 7 points, 67 to 60. All right, let's get stuck into third quarter of this first game, GWS versus West Coast Eagles. Third quarter nearly completed. And West Coast, they've kicked 5 goals, 1 to GWS Giants, 2 goals, 6. And West Coast are in front by 20 points, 98 to 78. Can the West Coast Eagles get over the line against the top team? Could be 2 in a row for the Giants. Let's go the last quarter of this game. Big upset brewing. Last quarter underway. And the Giants, yes, too strong. They kick 6 goals, 1 to West Coast, 1-5. So the Giants win by 6 points. Final scores, GWS Giants 17-13, 115 to West Coast Eagles 16-13, 109. Let's go to the second game. It is match of the round, Port Adelaide versus Geelong at Adelaide Oval. Let's go to the first quarter. First quarter underway. And the first quarter's completed. Port Adelaide, they've kicked 6 goals, 2 to Geelong, 4 goals, 3. So Port Adelaide are in front by 11 points, 38 to 27. Let's go to the second quarter of this game. As I said, it's the last home and away round for the season. Geelong, they've kicked 5 goals, 5 in that second quarter to Port Adelaide, 3 goals, 2. And Geelong are in front by 4 points, 62 to 58. Third quarter underway. Third quarter completed. Port Adelaide, they've kicked 6 goals, 1 to Geelong, 3 goals, 1 after half time. And at 3-quarter time, Port Adelaide are up by 14 points, 95 to 81. Let's go to the last quarter of this game. Match of the round, Port Adelaide versus Geelong. Can the Cats get over the line? And they can, yes. They kick 6 goals, 5 to Port Adelaide, 1-3 in that last quarter. So they've put a stamp on the competition. They are now second on the ladder. Port Adelaide final score 16-8, 104 to Geelong 18-14, 122. All right, let's go to the next game. It is Sydney versus St Kilda at SCG. First quarter underway. Sydney, they've kicked 3 goals, 5 to St Kilda, 1-4 in the first quarter. Sydney are 13 points up, 23 to 10. Second quarter underway. Second quarter done. St Kilda kicked 4 goals, 1 to Sydney, 2-5. And at halftime, Sydney were up by 5 points, 40-35. Third quarter underway. Third quarter done. Sydney, they've kicked 1 goal, 6 to St Kilda, 3 goals, 4. And at three-quarter time, St Kilda are up by 5 points, 57-52. Can the Saints get over the line? They could be in the 8 after round 17. St Kilda win by 29 points. They kick 5 goals, 2 to Sydney, 1-2. And St Kilda are in the 8 at the moment. All right, let's go to the next game. It's Western Bulldogs versus Richmond at Marvel Stadium. First quarter underway. First quarter done. Richmond, they've kicked 6 goals, 3 to Western Bulldogs, 2 goals, 2. So Richmond are up by 25 points. Richmond are in 7th spot. Western Bulldogs are in 15th. Second quarter completed. Western Bulldogs kicked 5 goals, 4 to Richmond, 3 goals, 6. And at halftime, Richmond are up by 15 points, 63-48. Let's go to the third quarter. Third quarter completed. Richmond kicked 5 goals, 2 to Western Bulldogs, 3 goals, 5. And Richmond are up by 4 goals, 95-71. Let's go to the last quarter. And in the end, Richmond win by 20 points. Final scores, Western Bulldogs 14-14, 98 to Richmond 17-16, 118. All right, let's go to the next games. Fremantle versus Carlton, first quarter. First quarter completed. Carlton have kicked 5 goals, 1 to Fremantle, 4 goals, 5. Fremantle are in the 8. Carlton want to be in the 8. They need to win today. Second quarter. Fremantle have kicked 5 goals, 5 to Carlton, 1-5 in that second quarter. So at halftime, Fremantle are up by 22 points. Let's go to the third quarter in this game. And Fremantle have kicked 4 goals, 5 to Carlton, 5 goals, 3. And three-quarter time, Carlton are down by 18 points, 75-93. Fremantle win. They're in the finals. And in the end, Fremantle win by 20 points. Fremantle 14-20, 104 to Carlton 12-12, 84. All right, let's go to the next game. It's Essendon versus Gold Coast at Marvel, first quarter. Essendon have kicked 5 goals, 1 to Gold Coast, 6 goals, 6. Gold Coast win today. They might be in the 8. Second quarter. Second quarter, Bombers kicked 6 goals, 5 to Gold Coast, 3-5. And at halftime, Essendon are up by 7 points, 72-65. Third quarter, Essendon have kicked 5 goals, 4 to Gold Coast, 3-5. Essendon are up by 18 points, 106-88. Let's go to the last quarter. And in the end, Essendon win by 21 points. They kick 3 goals, 3 to Gold Coast, 2 goals, 6. And final score, Essendon 19-13, 127 to Gold Coast 14-22, 106. Let's go to the next games. Collingwood versus Melbourne, first quarter. And Melbourne, they've kicked 6 goals, 2 to Collingwood, 1-4. So Melbourne are up by 28 points. Second quarter underway. Second quarter, very even. Collingwood kicked 3 goals, 6 to Melbourne, 3-2. And at halftime, Melbourne are up by 24 points. Let's go to the third quarter. Third quarter nearly completed. Okay, third quarter, Collingwood kicked 5 goals, 6 to Melbourne, 4-5. And at three-quarter time, Melbourne are still up by 17 points, 87-70. Let's go to the last quarter in this game. Could be a big upset. Melbourne over Collingwood. Yes, Melbourne win by 14 points. They kicked 2 goals, 1 to Collingwood, 2-4. Final scores, Collingwood 11-20, 86 to Melbourne 15-10, 100. Okay, let's go to the second last game. It's Adelaide versus Hawthorn at Adelaide Oval. First quarter. And Hawthorn have kicked 4 goals, 4 to Adelaide, 4-1. So Hawthorn are up by 3 points. Second quarter underway. And second quarter, Adelaide kicked 6-1 to Hawthorn 5-2. Halftime, Adelaide are up by 2 points. Let's go to the third quarter. Adelaide kicked 5-1 to Hawthorn 4-1 in that third quarter. And Adelaide are up by 8 points, 93-85. Adelaide win today. They are in the finals. Last quarter underway. And in the end, Hawthorn get over the top of Adelaide Crows. So they missed the finals, Adelaide. Final score, Adelaide 18-5, 113 to Hawthorn 19-12, 126. Let's go to the last game, Brisbane versus North Melbourne at the Gabba. First quarter underway. North Melbourne, they've kicked 6-1 to Brisbane 2-5. And after quarter time, North Melbourne are up by 20 points, 37-17. Second quarter. And North Melbourne, they've kicked 5-5 to Brisbane 1-6. Half time, North Melbourne have a handy lead of 43 points. Let's go to the third quarter. And Brisbane, they've kicked 5-1 to North Melbourne 3-5 after half time. Let's go to the last quarter of the home and away season. Last quarter completed. North Melbourne, they have a big win by 51 points against Brisbane at the Gabba. Brisbane, they kicked 2-1 to North Melbourne, 4-5. But in the end, North Melbourne win by 51 points. Final score, Brisbane 10-13, 73 to North Melbourne 18-16, 124. All right. So that completes round 17, but it also completes the home and away season. So we're in finals game now, next round. So the finals, as we see it, let's go to the road to premiership. So the first qualifying final, we've got GWS Giants versus Fremantle. Then the first elimination final, we've got Port Adelaide versus St Kilda at Adelaide Oval. And then Richmond versus Sydney Swans at the MCG. And then we've got Geelong versus Essendon down at GMHBA Stadium. So that is the finals, first week of the finals. We'll see you next time on Thursday, the 24th of April, 2025 for finals week 1.